I thought it'd be better to actually have the individual that helped me with this legislation and brought it to my attention. So I will heed my time to Sergeant First Class Micah Welintukonis, a Purple Heart veteran, and he'd like to touch on a few bills, so I'd heed the floor to him. Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ackert. Thank you, members of the board and the chair. And thank you, fellow veterans, for coming out today. And also to Paul Tarbox over there, who I had the pleasure, well, not the pleasure of serving with in Iraq, because 143 degrees is not pleasurable. And to Representative Alexer, I am an Army guy, but Semper Fi, sir. Raised Bill number 905, I'd like to propose an amendment, the study treatment of veterans with TBI and PTSD. Being blown up and hit by a suicide bomber and spending 2 weeks in a coma and still going through my medical recovery. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and TBI. The proposed substitute change on the wording, post-traumatic stress disorder, remove disorder. Former President George W. Bush started an initiative to take the D out of PTSD because our veterans, as my buddy at Walter Reed once said, who's also a medic and lost his right arm and right leg, said that our veterans are not broken beyond repair. They made the word change with bipolar as well. If you notice, it is no longer bipolar disorder. President Obama said this after signing just recently the Clay Hunt Suicide Act. Every community, every American can reach out and do more with and for our veterans. This has to be a national mission. As it is a nation, we would not be satisfied, will not be satisfied until every man and woman in uniform, every veteran gets the help that they need to stay strong. TBI and PTS, post-traumatic stress symptoms, often overlap and are misdiagnosed. And as Representative Alexer had pointed out, as he sits on a administrative separation board, I'm also in the separation process, and it isn't just 1 year or 2 years. I'm currently going on 2.5 years of going through this whole process because they've done things wrong, like get my wrong arm wrong or have my 12-inch scar labeled as 4 inches long and superficial. On Raised Bill number 903, I am in full support, an act concerning veteran affairs. Too many times, soldiers get caught in what we call the paperwork shuffle, as you guys get caught in all the paperwork that you guys have. It can be daunting and overwhelming. This bill would ease the family suffering financially in the event of a tragic loss. It is my understanding such was the case last year with a Connecticut National Guardsman family. He was driving in New York and he was killed, but his wife was not set up financially. And I know this bill would give the Commissioner of Veteran Affairs the ability to provide emergency financing to that family. I'm in full support of that. Proposed bill number 523. I propose an amendment. It's waiving the interest and penalties for delinquent property taxes. This I originally proposed to Representative Ackert as the Camilla bill for my wife. The proposed substitute change and add spouse or next of kin and soldiers who are wounded and hospitalized stateside. Every wounded soldier ends up at Walter Reed or in San Antonio. This happened to my wife while I was at Walter Reed, and as I stated, being shot and hit by a suicide bomber, I was in critical care for a long time. She had to leave my side at Walter Reed, pregnant, to come home so she wouldn't be delinquent on her taxes. An 8-hour drive. And I'm sure I'm pretty close to being out of time, and if the chair would allow me to address proposed bill 6383, the medical costs of certain amputees.
Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, concerning amputees, this involves a personal friend of mine who's an amputee. He lost part of his right leg in the Battle of Fallujah, and he is a Marine. And I propose this bill, once again, through Senator State Rep Ackert. In regards to this issue, he lost his leg in Fallujah. He gets hospitalized roughly once a year because the federal government, the federal VA, only provides him with 2 specialized socks a year. And I don't know about everybody in this room, but I'm sure we could attest to changing our socks more than twice a year. These socks provide a barrier between his prosthetic leg rubbing against the good portion of his leg. And oftentimes what happens is the case is they wear through, rubbing against the skin, causes skin breakdown, therefore it gets infected. Now the veteran cannot walk, has to be hospitalized, given antibiotics, when the easy fix would just be giving these veterans more socks. And that's all I have. Oh, and sorry, one more thing. SB 520, I am also in full support. Thank you.